Whenever I criticize Rockstar, I am actually shocked at the amount of brand loyalty that certain fans of the company have. I really don't understand the idea of being big fans of a company at this point. I think that, there's a lot of great creators still at Rockstar, but when it comes down to it, what I care about is the work that they're putting out and the reason that they're doing it with any of these companies. And Rockstar in general, I believe, has had a track record in recent years of kind of just wanting to make money and that's it. Not really wanting to put out anything good. Red Dead Redemption is a great example of that. An absolute no-effort port to bring this game to the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch while completely stripping the game of some of its features and charging $50 for it, at least in the United States, 50 USD. Not sure what it will be in other countries. I know members of this community in Australia, you tell me that your games are a lot more expensive than they are here. I believe it's the same in Canada. Maybe not quite the same, but certainly more than in the United States. So this is a port that is going to be at least 50 USD, but it removes multiplayer. And that was actually a big thing in the original. It's kind of like a side thing, but there were a bunch of multiplayer DLCs and all kinds of other stuff. And it is not upgraded or enhanced really in any way that has been announced. Now, before we hop more into this video, if you enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. I try to talk about some of these company things when I think they are out of hand. I also try not to be just the guy screaming in the wilderness about how all companies suck. So I do really enjoy this channel. I like talking about things I enjoy a lot. I'm starting to make some videos on Transformers. I'm starting to make some videos on Metal Gear Solid, Assassin's Creed, Fallout, and honestly, it'd be fun to make some Red Dead Redemption videos. This game is awesome. Now, it's worth mentioning that I have no hate towards Double 11 Studios who did this port. They are just doing their job. My criticism is directed at Rockstar Games. There has been a push from Rockstar to do such low-effort content in recent years while trying to rake in money. And it's getting a little ridiculous. I've talked about this in several videos that I will also link in the description and try and put some of them in the end of this video on the end screen. But essentially, what they've been trying to do is put out whatever they can to make money without really trying. They're doing it a lot with GTA Online. And of course, there was a lot of talk of plans for GTA 5 single-player DLC back in the day. You can actually see a lot of stuff with leaks about that from back in the day, where there was plans to supposedly put some of the heists and other content actually in the single player as well. That all ended up just kind of getting scrapped and moved to only GTA Online, because GTA Online was a cash cow. It was something where Rockstar could just rake in money. They could sell microtransaction shark cards to get money in the game, and then they could make billions of dollars off of it for doing relatively little work. Red Dead Redemption's single-player port is another example of this, because this game, it doesn't have the multiplayer. That's been removed, according to at least the release synopsis, and it's going to actually be really only having additional languages. That's really the only thing that it has over the original version of the game. What's really egregious about this is that this is something that has been rumored for a long time, a remaster of Red Dead Redemption, or a remake of Red Dead Redemption 1, and especially for PC players, where the only way that they can actually play this game is to emulate the game. If you just have a PC, let's say you don't have a PS4 or an Xbox or whatever, you have to pretty much just emulate this game through an Xbox 360 or PS3 emulator. There is no native PC version or port of Red Dead Redemption 1. And apparently there's not going to be for a while, if ever, because they're not even making this available on that. This is PS4 and Nintendo Switch only. It will work on the PS5, but it's actually not even as good as the version on Xbox, because what's interesting about this is that the Xbox version of this game, which you can get for really cheap, like $20 probably, on Xbox 360, that version for the Game of the Year, that's been enhanced. That actually runs in 4K. Now, it's not 60 FPS, but it is a 30 FPS 4K experience that looks really gorgeous for a game that I believe is about 13 years old now. It runs really well, very stable, it's awesome, it has all of the content on it, and it also has the multiplayer. So it has all the additional stuff for single player, and all of the additional stuff for multiplayer, and the multiplayer still runs. Now, it has yet to be seen if it will be removed, if they will shut that down, when this is coming out, to be like, look, that version's not much better. Who knows? I wouldn't be shocked considering what a lot of these companies do, but this is just a very low effort port shoved out onto the PS4 and the Switch in order to actually just make some more money off of Red Dead Redemption, essentially making money off the back of Red Dead Redemption 2, which I understand is a huge game, and Rockstar definitely deserves the praise they got for RDR2, but again, it's a game that lacks single-player DLC. Now, does every game need single-player DLC? Jay, every game needs it. Is that what you're saying? No, of course I'm not. But take a look back at some of Rockstar's best games, especially with, GTA and Red Dead Redemption in kind of that same era of Red Dead Redemption 1 and GTA 4. They made amazing DLC packs. They made things like Undead Nightmare, which I will say is going to be included in this $50 game, but is also included in the version of this on Xbox that runs in 4K. But we'll, move past that. They made great things like the Ballad of Gay Tony for GTA 4. There was a lot of stuff that they were putting out to enhance and further add to the single-player experiences of their games. Now what they try and do is use the single-player experiences as a launching off point to make more money. Obviously, GTA 5 was sort of the beginning of that. We got to see them experiment with it with GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption, but they were side components, the multiplayers for those. When they got to GTA 5 and they realized what a cash cow, GTA Online was, it pretty much ruined this company in terms of effort, in terms of trying. But it essentially made this company a juggernaut in terms of sales. Yes, they were making tons of money before, but do you know how much money they started making as soon as they made it so you could purchase currency in their games? Insane amounts. Go look up the numbers. I don't even have them in front of me, but it's millions and millions of dollars a year just in shark cards. So once they started doing that, they realized, oh, well, we don't really have to try very hard for that content. We just have to throw in some cars here or there, maybe a couple new missions with some cutscenes. Yeah, it's a few $1 million to maybe add to the game, but we're making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in the meantime off of what we did. Low cost, low effort, low risk, high reward. So they did it. And unfortunately, it's kind of one of those situations where I see a lot of people say, well, who could blame them? If you could do nothing and make a ton of money, wouldn't you? And I kind of sit here and I'm like, well, I get what you're saying, but also I feel like if I was in charge of this franchise, I can't believe I'm entering this ground, but if I was in charge of Rockstar Games and I was a fan of video games, yes, I would love to make that money. But also, I would love to use some of that money to add back into these core experiences. Things like Red Dead Redemption. There's no reason this couldn't be, an enhanced port, 60 FPS, with all of the DLC and all of the multiplayer stuff back intact for PC and, Switch. Obviously on Switch it would not be 4K, but you know what I mean, at least on PS4 and PC. But instead, they're ignoring PC, they're just adding some other languages, which is great. Good thing, I'm happy about that, so that Chinese players, Korean players, Polish players, Brazilian, Russian, and Latin American players, they can enjoy the game in their language. That's good. That's awesome. That's a good thing. I feel like that should just be a patch, or it should have been something that was done in the original release of the game, if we really want to critique this. That's not really something worthy of a $50 price tag. I suppose maybe it would be if you're Korean and you've always wanted to enjoy this game but you don't speak English, I guess. But that's a very niche audience just saying, well, hey, if you don't speak English, this is a great time to buy it. And if that is the goal of this, that's very exploitive too, to basically be on Xbox and say, hey, everybody, you can enjoy this game in 4K, you can play all the multiplayer, you can play all this stuff, but oh, look at the Korean fan. Oh, you can't speak English? Well, now the game's $50 for you. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not like they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart to be like, oh, look, we're going to bring the game to you and make you happy and really, celebrate your fandom of our games. That's not what it is. I mean, if anything, it's almost more exploitive of the fact that those people don't speak English. So now you're going to charge them more for a version of the game that added additional languages into the port. That's silly. Like, you're going to go up to a Chinese fan and say, hello, a Chinese fan of Red Dead Redemption? I see that you speak Mandarin Chinese and not English. Well, if you want to enjoy our game, it's going to be over double the price for English fans to enjoy our game. Nobody's even talking about that part of this. That just seems wrong and weird in and of itself. But also just the fact that it's better on Xbox, and I'm not saying this as like a Xbox fanboy, okay? I'm not at all. I have hundreds of, PlayStation platform games. But if that's what you're trying to do, if you're trying to say like, well, this is for them, it's a very weird way to go about it by charging them more for a lesser experience. It just seems exploitive and bizarre. On top of that, it's just exploitive and bizarre in the first place because it's the lowest effort release they can do. You know why they're putting it on PS4? In my opinion, it's because the most fans are on PS4. They're not even going to make a native PS5 version of this according to the release information. They're just going to drop it on PS4 and Switch because it's big, huge, player bases. And then PS5 players, well, if you want to play this game, you can just pop the PS4 disc in. Now, do I understand that for old remasters of older games? For example, things like the Castlevania games that are actually being ported to PS4? I absolutely understand that because there's not going to be much of a difference throwing that on a PS4 or PS5 disc. But they really could have very easily made this game better, made it play better. Hell, I think that remasters should probably even add in new content to the game. Fix problems the game had in the past. Maybe try and realize some of the content that had to get cut when they were going to release the original game. But of course, this isn't even a remaster, it's just a lazy port. It's really annoying, and honestly, it's such a bad value for what you get. Here's a great example of a game that I got recently that was not very much money. I believe it was $40 to $50, different type of game, but it is the Mega Man Battle Network Collection. This game includes 6 different Mega Man games. They're pretty long, actually, each, because they're sort of these RPG games. I know they're more niche, but hear my point out. And then it had multiple versions of those games, because kind of like what they did with Pokemon, there were different versions of these games from Mega Man Battle Network 3 onward. These games look better than they did at the original release on Game Boy Advance, and they included a ton of bonus features, including concept art and other stuff. That's kind of how you do a port. That's how you do an enhanced re-release of something in order to actually add value. And that still was this same price or less than what Rockstar is going to be charging for their re-release of Red Dead Redemption. If you want to hear more about my, criticisms of Rockstar from my poverty-stricken household, because obviously they're doing much better than me, but I still hate their lack of effort, I've made a lot of videos about this topic before. I made a video about how I personally believe GTA Online actually ruined this company in terms of actually putting in effort. And I've made a few other videos about the similar topics on this company. So if you're interested, I will leave those down in the description and also put some of them on the end screen here. I also recently did a very special to me video about Metal Gear Solid. I'm trying to start making videos about Metal Gear Solid, and I'm trying to talk more about games that I really love, movies that I really love. This stuff pisses me off. I don't want you guys to get taken advantage of in terms of this game. This is pretty much just the Xbox 360 version thrown on the PS4 with some new languages, and that's about it. There's not much more added here. I believe it will be 1080p, but that's about it. So there's not really anything here worth writing home about. If you are a gamer and this is the only way you can experience Red Dead Redemption, you have a PS4 or a Switch or a PS5, you'll never get an Xbox, whatever, I'm not here to hate on you. I understand that those people who never got to experience Red Dead Redemption, this is the best option for them versus never playing the game. I understand that. I'm not hating on anyone who buys this, but Rockstar themselves, they are not trying. And they want us to just buy these things, shut the hell up, throw money at them, and say, yay, Rockstar, remember them? They're great. Remember when they made Undead Nightmare and stuff like that? That's what they want. They don't want to actually be the company that creates new memories, that creates new amazing experiences for the most part. What they want to do is use them as a launching off platform in order to actually get you to pay more money. They did it with GTA Online, and I was going to say earlier, but I got sidetracked in my own brain, they tried to do it with Red Dead Redemption 2, with Red Dead Online 2, or whatever you want to call it. They tried to make the game They made it very big, very appealing, very beautiful, and it's a great game. But they tried to use it as a platform to spring off interest into Red Dead Online. But what happened to Red Dead Online once it started running into problems, once it was going to cost more than they wanted to put into it to fix it, to actually make it a cash cow or make it make money? Well, they looked at it and they said, gee, it's a lot harder to get people to buy in-game currency, to buy a different breed of horse or to buy a gun or whatever, than it is to get them to buy all this modern tech and futuristic garbage in GTA Online. Of course, someone's going to be more likely in a lot of cases, at least when you look at the wide player base, to pay $30 to us to get our version of a Lamborghini in the game than they are going to be to get a horse or something like that. So what did they do? They didn't fully abandon Red Dead Online, but they pretty much did. They kind of just threw it to the curb and said, you're kind of the redheaded stepchild compared to GTA Online. Why don't you come back when you make us more money? And he said, but please, Dad, I just need a little more work. I need a little help, and then I can make something of myself. And Daddy Rockstar said, no way. I'm not going to pay a dime on you when your brother over here is doing nothing except day trading and he's making $1 billion a year. We don't need you in this family. And he slammed the door. They don't care about Red Dead Online anymore, even though they tried to use it as a platform like GTA Online. Because, why? Oh, because it would have taken work, effort to get it to where it needed to be a successful experience, a successful game like GTA Online is. So instead of doing that work, they said, nah, see you later, chump. We're going to go back to selling shark cards. And that's what they did. They released lazy remasters like the GTA Trilogy, which was just broken beyond repair at launch. It's been fixed a lot, but it was embarrassingly bad. And they outsourced that port, I believe, to Grove Street Games. And now they're making this, which again is another low effort, low stakes, high possible reward thing. That's all it is. Hey, let's just toss it out there. If it makes money, great. If it doesn't, oh well, the code was sitting around anyway. Somebody else had to put the work into it, and it is what it is. Probably cost us like a week worth of shark cards, maybe out of the year. Doubtful, but maybe. It's just sad to see what this company has kind of turned into. Again, like the Rockstar fanboys will always say, they are more successful than me. You're absolutely right. I'm sure they always will be because people throw money at this stuff. But it's still just sad to see the lack of effort compared to who they used to be. I don't really feel like there's any pride in the work of this company anymore. And like a lot of you have pointed out in the comments, I think a lot of the people who made this company special left a long time ago, and it makes me truly sad. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, check out some of my other videos. It helps my channel out a lot. And genuinely, I'm interested in your thoughts. So have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.